Nate Oats. Same routine. We'll have Coach make an opening statement, and we'll go ahead and take us some questions after that. Coach?
I mean, it's good to finally see the ball go in again. It's good to see Herb Jones back to a lot closer to 100%. He's still not quite 100, but man, he looked a lot better. So that was good. It makes our offense a whole lot better when Herb's playing explosive like he was. Defensively we weren't as good as we wanted to be, but that's a good offensive team. I mean, Wheeler get the ball in the paint. They didn't shoot it particularly well, which obviously helped us, but we shot it well. We got to the free throw line, made free throws, made threes. Outside of the turnovers on offense, I thought our offense was pretty good. They're a really good offensive rebounding team. I think we held them to 28%, offensive rebounding rate, which is lower than their average by a lot. So even though we gave up quite a few old boards, it wasn't as bad as they had been beating other teams on it, but it still wasn't quite good enough. So we got some work to do yet. A&M's, looming out there Wednesday. They're a really good defensive team. We're going to have to be better on defense before A&M, but really happy for the guys. I mean, 115, so I guess it's the SEC record for points in a game. I thought Darius, that dunk he put down at the end. I mean, we know how talented that kid is. We're just trying to get him to put it all together. So I was really happy to see him, be able to do that. I thought just a lot of guys shot the ball well. You look, JQ was 4 for 4. So the last 3 games he's been shooting it really well. Shaq got back on track, over 50% from 3. Herb was 3 of 4. He's over 50% on the year. Primo came out with 19 in the second half. It was huge. He goes 3 of 4. So it's a feel-good win, but we definitely got some work to do on the defensive side of it.
Thank you, Coach. We'll take questions now. Let's start with Drew DeArmond.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to ask you about the second half for Josh Primo. It was big, had 19 points. I know he's been struggling a little bit, but as you said, it was good to see the ball go in the hole for everyone, but especially him. Talk about his performance tonight.
He struggled early, had the foul trouble, didn't really get it going in the first half, but he came out aggressive. That's what we like to see. He's attacking the rim. And then, I feel like when he's aggressive, coming downhill, attacking, he can't let guys just close out and get into him. If they close out that hard because they know he's a shooter, he's got to be able to make the plays off the dribble. So I think he's getting better at that. We're seeing his game grow. I don't know if they close out short. I mean, he's making shots. He's one of the best shooters on the team, and we got a lot of good shooters on the team, and he's right up there at the top. So really happy for him. And good. A freshman, middle of February, sometimes they hit a wall a little bit. Maybe he hit one a little bit before, but he's pushing through it. He's a workhorse. He's in the gym working a lot, and he's all about the right stuff. So happy to see him play well.
Charlie Potter, you're next.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned Herb in your opening, but was this the healthiest you've seen him in a while? Just what are your thoughts on his play tonight?
Yeah, easily. I mean, it's the best he's played since he took the initial fall. So that's what we kept saying. He has to get the rust off. It's great to just say let's sit him, but sitting him doesn't get him any better. It prevents another hit to it. The only thing that was setting him back was if he'd have taken a hit to it. And he hasn't taken a hit for the last 3 or 4 games, but he did need to get some rust knocked off him for not playing so long or not practicing. So we just felt like let's get him back to doing full speed drills, individual skill drills. Let's try to get it as hard as we can, close to game speed without going live in practice, and then let's let him keep playing. Because whenever you would have, if you did sit him, whenever you'd have brought him back, he had to play a few games to knock the rust off. It'd be nice if he didn't have to knock the rust off when he did hit 100%, which is what we're hoping for now.
Mike Rodak.
Yeah, Nate certainly ended the game on an aggressive note with the Miles dunk, and I think he came back down to court there again and tried to dunk. I know on TV they speculated that you were trying to apologize to Tom Crean, that you went over to him. Just what was the
So situation? What I told them, what I told our guys, we've had issues with the guys closing the games out with turnovers. So I told them, look, once it got under 30, where the shot clock where you didn't have to shoot, I said if dribble it out, don't take a shot. Unless they're pressing into you. If they're pressing into you, then just, go by and make a play. If they're going to keep – it's kind of one of those deals. If they're going to keep playing hard on D, trying to get steals, then still play offense. So we're not turning the ball. We had enough turnovers on the game anyway. So Darius did exactly what I told him to do. You know, they pressed up into him at half court, so he went by. So I went and told Tom, and I got a lot of respect for him. You know, like I said, I worked his camps back when he was at Marquette, going to the Final Fours. I, followed him closely at Indiana when I was a high school coach. So he's a Michigan State guy. I got a ton of respect for the Michigan State, and he was great. I said, look, Tom, I told him to dribble it out unless they pressed into us, and he just he said, no problem. So I wanted to make sure he knew I wasn't trying to run the score up, but we also, you guys have seen us close games out with that crew out there before, and it was disastrous, and I hate to see us close games out like that. So way better finish to the game. This is the first game since I've been here that we've won all 10 4-minute battles from what my staff feeds me on the 4-minute battle sheet. So, we were trying to win. Usually, sometimes we set it as a goal to win 8 out of 10. You may have a couple bad ones shooting, but they told me we won all 10 out of 10. So it was nice we won the last one, didn't let up, played hard through the end of the clock.
Cecil Hurt.
It seemed even in the first half you had worried about starts, and it was, I guess, 10-10 at the first media. But the ball seemed to be moving around better offensively. So, did you feel like the start was better? What you were looking for?
It was a lot better on offense. Defensively, we were just a little off for large parts of the game, and I didn't like our start defensively, but offensively, we weren't turning the ball over 3 out of 4 possessions. We had some pretty good looks. Being even after the starts we've had for the last few games, it's great. Was it 10-10 at the end of the first media? Did we not win all 10 of those? Maybe we tied. Maybe we didn't lose one. Maybe that was what they told me.
All right, we got 3 more questions in the queue here. We'll finish with these 3. Let's start with Scott Griffin.
Hey, Nate, I don't think I've ever seen a box like this. Disregard the turnovers, but offensive efficiency, 19 assists on 36 made, but 115 points and nobody had double-figure shot attempts. Yet 5 guys have, 7, at least 7, really balanced besides the assist.
Yeah, I didn't realize that till you just said it. It's pretty crazy. Nobody shot more than 9 times. We scored 115. It helps when you make threes and you got a lot of guys that can make threes. You go down the list, you look like Quinterly 4 for 4. Primo and Herb both 3 for 4. Shaq 2 for 3. Keon Ellis was 50%, 1 for 2. Darius Miles 1 for 2. Reese was one of our off guys at 1 for 3 tonight. JP was one of our slow guys at 3 for 7, which is pretty good. So when we shoot it like that and the ball's moving like it was, I guess that can happen. That is fairly incredible. I didn't realize that till you pointed that out. But the 18 turnover, if we hadn't turned the ball, and we were at 1.4, our offensive efficiency on the game. If we would limit the turnovers, cut that 18 down to 12, you'd been pushing 1.5, which had been 1.4 is pretty good. 1.5 would have been fairly ridiculous. So yeah, the offense looked a lot better tonight.
Let's go to Janaea Lazenby.
Yes. What were some key takeaways from the game tonight?
I think, we were stressing our transition defense. It was 10-0 on fast break points in the first half the wrong way. They had 10, we had 0 on the box score. So for the second half, it ended up 12-6. So I think we did a little bit better in the second half on that. Rebounding was a major factor. They're a really good offensive rebounding team. I thought we did a pretty good job with that. Out-rebounded them by 7 on the game. And then our other big key was kind of keeping Wheeler out of the paint. We didn't do nearly as good a job of that. He ends up with 16 points. He only did have 3 assists to 4 turnovers. So our job on Wheeler was kind of average, maybe even below average, to be honest with you. He got a lot of guys in foul trouble. Keon Ellis was guarding him, ends up in foul trouble. But I thought that the charge that Herb took, that fouled him out of the game, was huge. And it's a Herb Jones type play. Herb was a monster on defense tonight. He was all over the place. Our team defense was not where it needed to be. But Herb Jones himself, I thought, was pretty good. And then, our defense wasn't awful, but it just wasn't what we were used to getting from our guys. So, to me, that's, and the offensive stuff is pretty obvious. We scored 115. It's an SEC record. We shot 18 out of 30 from 3, 25 out of 30 at the line. You know, I think our field goal percentage, our 3-point percentage, we're season highs. So, yeah, I mean, you can talk about the offensive stuff, but that's pretty apparent. So my takeaways were what I just gave you there.
All right, we'll finish up here with Joe Goodman.
Hey, Nate, do you mind going into your philosophy behind the 10 4-minute battles and how you prepare the team for that?
I mean, I think it's one of those deals where you don't want to get lost in the entire game. If you break it down into every media timeout, you got a 4-minute battle. Like, you know, my guys give me these, we got them on card stock, and we chart all kinds of stuff on defense and offense both. And, you know, I get a defense and offense and a blue-collar one every 4 minutes, you know, and we're trying to win the 4-minute battle, but we're also trying to, how many paint, you know, 1 paint touch, 2 paint touch possessions on offense? How many times do we hit the paint in the first 6 seconds of the clock? How many O-boards do we, you know, get on offense? You know, we got a whole list of offensive stuff. I do a quick scan, circle it. Whole list of defensive stuff. How many O-boards do we give up? How many transition points do we give up? How many blow-bys do we give up? How many stops do we have out of how many total possessions? So we're trying to, you know, and then they each give me the efficiency numbers. We were, you know, I circle that, you know, defense, like, guys, we were at a 1.18 on defense these last 4 minutes. That's awful. Like, we got to get this back down to a 0.8, you know, and part of the reason is we gave up 3 blow-bys. So every 4 minutes when you get the guys back in an immediate timeout, we're going through, you know, and the big one tonight was that I wasn't really that happy with was they were up on the blue collar. They ended up beating us on blue collar points tonight. So, which that doesn't happen. Like we last year we charted our own only. This year we chart ours and the opponents. They outscored us on our blue collar system. So, you know, we made the point at halftime. We were down on it. We were down by like 20. So the second half we outscored them, but not enough to win the game. So, you know, the blue collar, the offense, the defense, every 4 minutes, just kind of evaluating what we think it takes to win games and making sure we're focused on that at every 4 minutes, and we're trying to win every 4 minutes. If you just try to win the game, sometimes you can throw away this 4 minutes, which we've done. I mean, I'm not saying we're anywhere close to where we need to be on all this, but I think it helps keep their focus in on every time you come into a timeout.
All right, thank you, Coach.